irritable edge.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people use anti-anxiety medication with narcissists because they're having anxiety about a specific situation in their life, typically because they're not getting enough validation. Sometimes there'll be drugs used to manage issues around addiction, but that's much more specific to the addiction, and it's not going to address the narcissism. But it would be the other things kind of hanging out with the narcissism that you'd use medication for. There is no known medication out there that is labeled for use to manage or treat narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic traits.
If a couple is in therapy, or couples that you've personally had, have you ever suggested to the non-narcissist in the couple leave?
If I'm working with a couple, I've never done that, but God, I've been tempted. I mean, I slip them a note, like on their way out, right? Ethically, it's not how I roll. If there's a case of domestic violence.
Why?
I can echo what you said. At the end of the day, everyone has a different experience in these kinds of patterns. It's why I wrote Should I.
Okay, fun block. We've been waiting for this one. Let's go ahead and put this on the screen. Samantha Bee. The television host Samantha Bee revealed on Monday that her series Full Frontal with Samantha Bee will not move forward with the TBS network. Now, just for context, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee was consistently lowest rated, again, lowest of all of the late night shows. I'm amazed that anybody still watches late night, personally. And, Crystal, you had a lot to say on this. I'll just say my piece. Yeah, I was always very sad on what happened with Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, because I actually thought she was really funny when she was on with Jon Stewart. Yeah. She was she was a comedian. She would often poke. Yeah, she was clearly like a liberal or a Democrat. But I thought that she was biting and sarcastic in a hilarious way, but she became a complete partisan, almost like a crude Sheryl Sandberg lean-in feminist, which is like the worst of all comedy and feminism that was put together. It showed always in the ratings, and I'm not going to miss the show whatsoever. I think it was always terrible to the extent that she ever made headlines. It was like by calling Ivanka Trump, if you recall, the C word. I was like, what do we say for that? By calling it, and I was like, wow, so edgy, on television. And basically since that time, she hasn't really made news oh no, she did falsely accuse somebody had cancer of being a neo-Nazi. But again, that was like 2017. So I've always viewed her decline as actually deeply sad, because I thought she actually used to be funny. Her husband also was hilariously funny. Yeah. So anyway, no tears shed for Samantha Bee.
I thought about doing a monologue on this because I was thinking about her show launched in 2016. The expectation was you're gonna have Hillary Clinton as president, and it came at the time of this very girl boss lean in feminism moment, and then it lands and it's kind of I think it had maybe some early success, although I'm not even really sure about that. Certainly enough for them to keep her around for 7 years. But that moment in feminism has really sort of passed. So I was going to do a whole thing on that. But then honestly, I went and I watched some of the show, and I was like, the truth is it's just not a good show. There's just nothing more to say about it than it's not funny. It's genuinely anti-funny. It's very preachy. It's that thing of trying to be the kind of most aggressive MSNBC commentator, but then throw in a snarky aside every once in a while and call it comedy. It's just not a good show. So I ultimately was like, I don't really want to write a whole monologue about this, because I don't think there's anything really deeper to say than it wasn't funny and people didn't want to watch it. That's the bottom line. I mean, it was, and I think this is the case we've been talking about, Keith Olbermann, a lot of late night decline, a cable news decline, etc. It's really just as simple as it's really predictable. You all are saying the same thing about the same topics. We know exactly where you're going to go and what your take on it is going to be. I was thinking about Jon Stewart, who I think is still can be really funny. Like some of his best moments were when he was tearing apart the like sort of liberal consensus on like lab leak versus
Yeah.
versus the zoonotic origin. And I mean, that was like a hilarious bit where again he's going somewhere that is uncomfortable. That's what makes comedy interesting. And I also think that there's something to be said with if you're going to be a comedy show, the funny has to come first. And then if you're able to make like your political points around that, but the humor is there and solid first, she clearly lost the thread on that.
I think the same thing happened to John Oliver. I used to love that guy's show back in 2015 because he was funny first and he would do South City Men. Trump happened, and then it was like make Donald Drumpf again. And I was like, oh my God.
And
hilarious.
what he does
Yeah.
better than Samantha Bee is he has these like he hired investigative reporters,
Right.
so he'll do actually really good reporting.
Mhm.
I honestly wish he would. The comedy part of it's not funny. Like just do like if you want to do a news show, do that and do
No,
it well. So
shut
it's
up.
something in the conversation. Like he did a deep dive on private equity, buying up trailer home communities,
Mhm.
trailer park communities, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not funny, but at least he adds something sometimes to the conversation. This was just sad, really sad. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign
No.
up and help us build a new mainstream.
I'll tell you what I don't like. Poorly made work boots, two-wheel drive, and all the mass-produced junk getting dumped on people's doorsteps. Which is why I only deliver one high-quality package from Bespoke Boots. Thanks, Bespoke Customer. It always contains well-chosen gear from the best small brands in the world, and it's all been tested by me. If you're into quality gear and small brands to get it done, head on over to BespokePost.com. Tell them the Postman sent you.
Let me ask you a question. What's the best protein supplement you can take for a leaner, stronger, healthier, more attractive body? Now, for most people, they think it's whey protein or casein or vegan protein, but the reality is the best protein you can supplement with is actually a high-quality grass-fed collagen protein. Now, the reason is simple. Most people, we get enough protein in our diet. We eat a balanced diet, we get plenty of protein, but there's one thing that we're missing. There's one thing we're missing that our hunter-gatherer ancestors got in ample amounts. You see, our hunter-gatherer ancestors didn't just eat, the muscle and the meat on the animal, but they also ate was the bones, the cartilage.
Moving on, our main story tonight concerns the internet, a world-changing resource that was initially sold to us like this.
We installed the internet on our computer just a short time ago, and I haven't been able to get the kids off it ever since.
Not only do they play the typical computer games that all the kids enjoy, but their curiosity for learning has skyrocketed. Peter is constantly quoting sports statistics, and he can tell you the best surfing spots around the globe.
Not to mention the improvement in Peter's grades, and Josh's too.
Okay, first, Peter was not checking surfing spots or sports statistics. Peter was masturbating. That is what Peter was doing. But also, spare a thought for Dasher there, who just gets also good grades. You deserve better, Dasher. I hope you grew up to be an early investor in cell phones, made millions of dollars, and never spoke to your weird family ever again. Specifically, we're going to talk about the fact that our experiences on the internet are now dominated by a very small handful of companies who are getting pretty used to throwing their weight around. In 2020, the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust released a massive 450-page report detailing anti-competitive conduct by Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Alphabet. That's the parent company of Google. And the findings couldn't have been clearer. Each platform serves as a gatekeeper over a key channel of distribution, allowing these giants to pick winners and losers throughout our economy. And I know for some, that's part of the appeal.
Apple's the empire of the smartphone with all its attendant services. Facebook's the repository of your identity. Amazon's the online wall backed by cloud infrastructure. Alphabet is all things search. Now, these companies have all created incredible products that we can't live without. They're gargantuan businesses that are, for the most part, loved and respected by the most important people, their customers. Are they monopolists? They don't care. I know. Wake me up when someone else can do it better.
So there's a few problems with that. First, in order to be woken up, at some point you do need to go to sleep. Something that I feel Jim Cramer, a man who constantly exudes big running late to my chance thing energy, hasn't done in the last decade. But second, a big thing these companies are accused of doing is suppressing their competition so completely that we never actually know if someone else could do it better because they'll never get a fair chance to try. That is the problem here. It's not that tech companies are inherently bad because they are big, it's that they're engaging in anti-competitive behavior. And here's where, unusually, I actually might have some good news because there are two bills before Congress right now with bipartisan support that could curtail at least some of big tech successes. But for reasons that we will get into later, if they don't pass in the next month or so, they're not likely to pass at all. So tonight, let's talk about tech monopolies, the hidden harm that they can do, and how best to address that. Let's start with a tiny bit of history, because in the past, the US has actually taken strong action to break up harmful monopolies. In the early 20th century, we broke up Standard Oil, and as recently as 40 years ago, the government took action against who else but AT&T, our business daddy who left for cigarettes and never came home. They were actually the largest firm on the planet back then, and broadly well respected and considered good, which is to say, completely unrecognizable from the AT&T of today. But crucially, that popularity may well have been because people had no alternatives. You had to rent your phone from AT&T, and they were in charge of both local and long-distance services, which, as we now know, were wildly overpriced. And when MCI, a much smaller company, tried to offer long-distance phone service at a lower rate, AT&T was not having it.
MCI, which charges up to 50% less than Bell, argued that AT&T tried to put it out of business by refusing to provide equipment needed for long-distance transmission. A key exhibit, AT&T's own notes of a 1972 Florida meeting by company executives in which one said, "Let's choke them off before they get started."
Now, obviously, fuck AT&T now and forever, but is that what that said? Because the only bit of squiggle that I can decode there are the words "dangerous to Samantha's," a dollar sign, something that weirdly might be COVID, and then there is something that's definitely, no question, capital B, balls. The DOJ then actually filed an antitrust lawsuit, which AT&T fought vigorously for a decade, and when, in 1984, it was formally broken up by the government, AT&T's chairman warned the public that we would come to regret what had just happened.
Well, I've had the conviction and taken a position in more than one forum that the country in the long run will be sorry. I find it difficult to believe that things will work as well in the future as they have worked in the past.
Yeah, but he was wrong. Things actually worked better because it turns out ending a monopoly is almost always a good thing, whether it's AT&T or Standard Oil or literally any game of Monopoly. We didn't know it at the time, but AT&T's dominance was seriously holding back innovation. But as soon as it wasn't controlling the phone lines and what you could attach to its network, many new products started proliferating, from the answering machine to the modem. The breakup of AT&T was actually a key step in producing the internet revolution, giving us the web as we now know it, and Peter the ability to look up sports stats, surfing spots, and what we all know he was really doing there. The point is, when harmful monopolies end, innovation flourishes. And I want you to bear that in mind as we talk about the monopolies of today, tech companies. And tonight, we're going to focus on just one way that they use their monopoly power, something called self-preference. It's when companies unfairly favor their own products on their own platforms, which have now become so big that most of us have no choice but to use them. This is a particularly big problem with these three companies. And we're going to start with Apple, specifically its App Store, which is basically the only place to download software for your iPhone, which is already a little bit weird when you think about it, right? You can download any software you like to your desktop computer, but if you have an iPhone, Apple has set it up so that its App Store is the only game in town. And Apple has been accused of unfairly pushing its own apps to the top of search results. Now, the company denies doing this, but the Wall Street Journal found Apple apps that generate revenue through subscriptions or sales like music or books showed up first in 95% of searches related to those apps. But regardless, perhaps more important is the stranglehold that Apple has on developers who want to get their apps onto your phone, because they are required to use Apple's payment processor, which takes a huge piece of every dollar that customers spend on those apps and any digital purchases within them.
Apple takes a 30% commission on the sales of apps and in-app purchases. So if an app costs $4.99 up front, Apple collects $1.50. Same goes for if you use an app to buy digital goods, like virtual weapons, or sign up for a subscription to a monthly service.
It's true, but that was pretty shocking to me, because it means that every time someone spent money on the Jeremy Renner app, something real people actually did to boost their post about him so they could hashtag be seen by Jeremy Renner, again, something human beings wanted, in amounts ranging from $1.99 to nearly $100 actual dollars, Apple got a cut of that, and that is blood money right there. Apple makes literally billions and billions every year just on commissions on App Store purchases. And some app developers are trying to find ways around this. Tinder, for instance, charges a higher price if you subscribe through the app than if you do it on their website. And if you open Netflix on your iPhone and you don't have an account, you get a message reading, trying to join Netflix, you can't sign up for Netflix in the app. We know it's a hassle. After you remember, you can start watching in the app. And you can see why Netflix would do that. It doesn't want to lose a third of its subscription revenue to Apple because it needs that money to promote its Netflix Pride Month collection, which is absolutely great. Simply scroll by the dozen stand-up specials mocking the trans community and it's right there. Shine with pride, guys! And while Apple will say that it's lowered its commissions for certain small app developers and now even allows some apps to link to an external website and bypass commissions, a key reason that happened is that they were put under extreme pressure from lawsuits and from regulators overseas. And if you are thinking, well, Apple is not the only game in town, right? What about Google's App Store? They charge similarly high commissions to developers. And the fact is, over 99% of smartphones are part of either Google's or Apple's app ecosystem. Let's actually talk a bit about Google now, because their App Store is clearly only a small part of their story. As I'm sure you know, they absolutely dominate online searches.
Last year, Google conducted 90% of the world's internet searches. When billions of people asked trillions of questions, it was Google that provided the answers, using computer algorithms known only to Google.
They have this phrase they use, competition is just a click away. They have no competition. Bing, the competition, has 2% of the market. They have 90%.
Exactly. People use Google to the extent that Googling something is now a verb. You can't say that for any other search engine. No one has ever said, I'm going to Bing it, except maybe Bing Crosby announcing he's about to masturbate, but that's it. And Google has exploited these subtle ways that we do with the search results that it shows. When you Google something,
Hello? Okay. Oh, focus. Out. Ellie. Just sit down. Bye. What up?
Not much. Grabbing sushi.
Mm. Orange. That one. What was it? Okay. There's orange. User did not to look at me. Oh my God. of here. Big boy. Oh my god. Big boy. Oh yeah. Where you going? Excuse you. Excuse you. Where do you think you're going? Give me a face. No. Look, I'm watching you. Yeah, watching you. Don't you even think about it. No. 'Cause I don't want to get out. Oh, you dirty bee. Excuse you. Ah. Once I get your bone, here. I can do it all. violet, red. Here's the thing. These are awesome. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I'm gonna let my lip on fire a little bit. Hi, pretty bird. Oh. How the hell did you get over here? You okay? What happened? Oh. Something. Is there? Okay. Got it. You good? Champ? Oh.
Tell that bottle of water. Oh, like what do you call it? Techno version. Is that not count as copyright? Ow! Second monkeypox related death. Sorry, Jack. I'm giving confused on do that actually. Can we just? I am gonna die of anticipation. Please.
What a beautiful planet, a place we always dreamed about, Earth. The power of all the nightmares we have accumulated will turn this world into a planet of death.
Majesty, what was that? Beautiful maiden.
Save our existence from this nightmare.
And it seems the more you hesitate, the deeper they can get into your heart.
We'll sell nightmares all over the world.
Protecting this planet. That's always been our truth. We can't give up.
You won't defeat my curse.
We have to fight no matter what. I am one who sleeps within you, a memory you might say. Wake up. Don't forget, this was only the premiere of the Dead Moon Circus. We've only just begun.
I did really badly.
Yeah, well, last time you played pitching, you did really well. That's cool. How did it turn out? Did you take a picture? I would have went and done security. I don't know how serious anyone will take me with a cast on my arm, but still. Yeah, fucking face needs security. If we just make it functioning, I would really appreciate.